that she's been missing. And I want to put this on blast because I don't think she's out in the desert. I think that she could have been abducted or taken because we do live by a highway and it happens, and I'm being real.
What makes Melissa believe that Karlie could have been abducted or taken? We don't have to wait long for her answer. She begins her reasons why Karlie could have been abducted or taken with the word because, which is a sensitivity indicator. And the first reason she gives is we do live by a highway. And do is an additional unneeded word, and she put that in there to add emphasis where it is not needed. And this is a need to persuade. The second reason she gives is it happens. And it is a depersonalizing way to refer to her daughter being abducted or taken. Even though this is her attempt at persuasion, it happens as your car getting ran into by a cart in a shopping center. It's not how you would refer to your daughter being abducted or taken. We need to consider also that it may be something else entirely. She may be speaking about something else at this point. And it happens sounds a lot like shit happens, which is very unexpected. And all of these reasons sound very negative linguistically towards the victim. And this is pessimistic after 10 hours of missing status. This has an undertone of subtle victim blaming as well, as if it happens, that Karlie, whatever Karlie encountered happens, and it's her fault.
Friday night, I picked up Karlie from town. She was supposed to be at a football game. She had lied to me and told me that she was at the football game. And when she called me, she said she was sorry. I was with friends. I'm sorry. Can you please just come get me?
Where the subject begins her statement of what happened gives insight into the perception of the subject. When analyzing a statement, it is important to remember that this is not reality, but the subject's version of reality. It is also important to note that to Melissa, Karlie's disappearance started when Melissa picked her up from town. Melissa states Karlie had lied to her, which paints the victim in a negative light. Considering her missing status, is this necessary to the recounting of events? Melissa could have said, I picked her up at a party, but Melissa wants to drive home that Karlie is a liar. She uses had lied instead of lied, which would have been sufficient. Had lied elongates time, and this makes the time frame sensitive to Melissa. The additional word had is also used to emphasize. And when somebody is habitually deceptive, they often feel a need to be proud or emphatic when they do, in fact, say something truthful. In Melissa's recounting of events, she states that Karlie told me that she was at the football game. Told is a word that implies Karlie used a strong tone in a one-way conversation with Melissa. Given the victim is a minor, this is unreliable. Melissa is further blaming the victim and painting her negatively. Most likely Karlie said is reliable, and this is concerning. Melissa has given no verbal indication of claiming Karlie as her own, coupled with subtle victim blaming.
She was very paranoid. She was scared, and she hadn't smoked weed in a month. And being a mother, I wasn't going to take her to the hospital. She's high on marijuana. Why would it didn't cross my mind. She was fine.
She reports Karlie was scared, which is reliable in form. She does not report what Karlie was scared of. Very paranoid is given higher priority than scared. And Melissa's use of very, which is a qualifying word, weakens her assertion that Karlie was paranoid. Paranoia is defined as an irrational fear, and scared is defined as a rational fear, or a justified fear. And this indicates that Melissa viewed some of Karlie's fears as justified and some as unjustified. The term paranoid is often associated negatively with severe mental illness, and this may be another attempt to disparage the victim. Melissa then starts her sentence with and, which indicates missing information about why Karlie was scared. Melissa reports in the negative, hadn't smoked weed in a month, which elongates time, and this may be an attempt to depict the victim as a habitual drug user as well.
I was really scared to put this out there because so many people are judgmental, and I don't want her story to die. And I was so scared just to say anything, and the investigators are like, you can't talk to anybody about this because the FBI was involved, and if anybody finds out or they get spooked or somebody tips somebody off, then she could be right here and then she could be gone. So this is hard right now because I don't want people to judge her. Kids smoke pot all the time.
Melissa now stops recounting her narrative and has started giving commentary about the night in question. Melissa is really scared of people's judgment. To put this out there is communicating that Melissa is giving commentary on what happened that night. She is giving her opinion, which some people may accept and some may not. This is not the language that indicates Melissa is giving a factual account of what happened. She is also really scared of Karlie's story dying. Melissa regards her account of what happened that night as a story that needs to survive so she won't face judgment. Her referencing her account of what happened that night as a story is a red flag and indicates her story is deceptive. The story must survive for Melissa to be safe from judgment. People judge, as well as courts of law. She is stating what happened that night deserves judgment. This is also the language of nostalgia, which indicates processing the information regarding Karlie's death. It is unexpected to find words such as death or die in the statement of a parent of a missing child. This goes against the natural optimism and hope a parent has for reunification. Melissa is placing the spotlight on herself and her feelings. She is able to verbalize she was really scared. What about Karlie? One can assume that if Karlie were taken or abducted, as Melissa stated in her October 13th Facebook Live, Karlie is scared too. Yet Melissa gives no verbal indication that she is concerned with Karlie's current well-being all the time. And at the beginning of a sentence always indicates missing information. And Melissa states she was scared just to say. She switches mid-sentence from past tense, which is reliable, to present tense, which indicates she's not speaking from experiential memory. She is also placing the focus on herself and how she feels. The lack of empathy and concern for Karlie is noted. Can't talk to anybody about this. Maybe an embedded confession. When she says the investigators are like, she is not quoting what was stated. She is approximating or perhaps fabricating what investigators stated. More reliable would have been the investigators told me or the investigators said. The FBI has brought sensitivity into Melissa's statement. And note that the FBI was involved. They are not currently involved. If anybody finds out or they get spooked or somebody tips somebody off, and this is present tense language and is unreliable. If anybody finds out what, is Melissa speaking about Karlie going missing, or that the FBI was investigating? Her statement lacks logic, as the public was already aware Karlie was missing and law enforcement was involved. She speaks to Karlie's location as right here, and then she could be gone, as a possibility, and please consider that Karlie's remains may have been moved from their original location. This is also in present tense and unreliable. Melissa's use of the word spooked is another reference to death, as ghosts are sometimes referred to as spooks. If there is a supernatural experience involving ghosts, it's sometimes described as spooky. Melissa then speaks to this, meaning closeness, being hard right now. She is concerned with how she feels. Hard right now indicates that this is not hard at other times. Melissa stutters on I just, comparing I don't want people to judge her to another want. And this indicates Karlie deserves judgment in Melissa's mind. Speaking about judgment of her missing child is subtle victim blaming, as Melissa feels Karlie has reason to be judged by people.
So I wanted to put them out there because obviously the trolls are roaming, and I'm not a liar and I don't have anything to hide, and it's okay to tell you guys all want her home. Who cares what she did?
Melissa's stepdaughter is missing. She hasn't been found in the desert. Melissa has alleged that Karlie could have been abducted or taken. She should have no concern for doubters. Yet, she has given more linguistic emotion about her perceived insults than she's shown for Karlie's disappearance. It is difficult to understand why a mother would care for anything but what her daughter is going through while missing. Yet she cares about people's words. You guys all want her home. This statement is very telling. You guys all want her home. She doesn't. Melissa knows Karlie is not coming home. And then she goes on to say, who cares what she did? Her statement should prompt investigators to ask, what did Karlie do? Whatever happened to her happened because of what she did. And this is a decidedly negative phrase. And it is even more negative considering that her child is missing. Whatever happened to her, it was her fault, with she being the victim. If she does not have a name, she is not a person. If she is not a person, but depersonalized, Melissa can avoid guilt. And this is the essence of distancing language. What did she do? This is no longer subtle victim blaming. This is overt victim blaming. and guilt is easier to bear when it is spread around. Melissa is angry with Karlie and sees herself as the victim.
And then the 3 confirmed people, 2 are neighbors that live up here, and the one other person that saw her was a wooder driving by and just saw her standing inside the barbed wire fence. So, and the timeline that they say, and I was like, how could I have missed her, you know?
To whom is this addressed? How could I have missed her in the timeline that they say? Melissa is speaking to having the ability to not miss her, yet missing her anyway. We note the rhetorical question she asks without answers. Melissa's rhetorical statement was meant to persuade and keep the focus upon herself as the victim. It simultaneously shows weakness in her story and poses a mystery for her audience to solve. There is an answer as to how she could have missed her. It is a fishing expedition to learn if anyone has discovered the truth in what happened to Karlie.
She was just right there. Just something's wrong. Somebody took her. There's just something.
She was just right there. Just something's wrong. Somebody took her. There's just something. Melissa previously stated she thought that Karlie was abducted or taken. Here she states somebody took her. We now listen to hear the linguistic disposition towards the abductor by Melissa. What does Melissa think and feel about the person who took Karlie? We expect fear and rage. Instead, we have soft language, indicating a neutral linguistic disposition. Melissa is neither praising nor condemning Karlie's abductor. It is within this context that neutral disposition is in fact positive linguistic disposition for Karlie's abductor. So she feels positive about the abductor. Melissa's use of someone as the responsible party for taking Karlie is to assign blame to one person who is gender neutral, when in fact most abductors are male. Why would Melissa assume only one person has Karlie? If anyone out there has ever watched an interrogation, you'll hear the detective ask the suspect, "What do you think should happen to the person who did fill in the blank?" And the detective is listening for the linguistic disposition towards the perpetrator. Now, if the suspect is draconian or gives a very severe response, they have a negative linguistic disposition towards the perpetrator. If they have a neutral or a positive linguistic disposition towards the perpetrator, that typically indicates that they themselves are the perpetrator, as people do not want to condemn themselves.
And I wanted to put it out there, and I want you guys all to know. And so, if you needed to know all that, great. And if you didn't care, great, because I don't care. I just want her. We want her home. And thank you for the continued support.
And I wanted to put it out there. Again, putting it out there indicates she is giving her opinion rather than a factual account. It being how she refers to the disappearance of her stepdaughter. And I want you guys all to know, she wants the public to hear her side of the story. Please note that guilty parents often seek to exercise control over the flow of information. And so, if you needed to know all that, great. And if you didn't care, great. This is unexpected language from a parent who wants to disseminate information about her missing child. 'Cause I don't care. This statement is deceptive. She does care what people think of her. The intention of her video is to sway public opinion and gain sympathy.